So Fable 5.
Yeah. How do you on that? When I was hearing about Fable 5 and like reading all the posts around it, it says that it's like specifically designed for long horizon agent work, which got me thinking. And I was going to ask you, do you do any type of long horizon agent work? Like,
Well, first you'd have to explain to me long horizon agent work, and I'll tell you if I do it.
So, well, it's funny because I feel like I just stumbled across long horizon agent work myself the other day, but I don't do it. And so, an example is, I built like this like self-learning email system, which we can, I mentioned a bit last week, but it's fully working now. But anyway, I wanted to create sort of a spec from it that I could use across other projects. And so I said to it, look, go on like examine the database, everything around it, how the system works, resend API, everything that we did to make this work perfectly so that I have some sort of reusable skill, let's say. And then it just spawned off basically, it spawns off agents normally by itself, but I did that this different thing, which was like, 8 different like agents going off for like half an hour. I'm talking about like hundreds of thousands of tokens. This is the thing that, we hear people speak about, we're blowing so many tokens and we're like, how are you even doing that?
Oh, yeah, and that's why people are saying that they're one-shotting things.
Yes. So that's what got me so I think it's that. How I work, and I presume how you work, is I work very iteratively.
Yes.
And so I'm like, okay, do this. I'm managing it.
Yes.
But I feel like long horizon agent work is more so letting it go off by itself. And I think Fable 5 is designed so that you can let it off by itself. But I don't know if I have I don't feel I've overcome that personal confidence barrier yet, or even if I should.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a good thing that like we micromanage a bit.
No, I don't think it's a good thing. No, it's terrible.
Yeah.
I have done some of that but out of laziness, not because I knew that that's what it was. Like I'll say, sometimes I'm like, I'll write this big prompt. I'm like, I need it to eventually do this. Like sometimes the most common way I work is iteratively. I know in my head the full thing that I need to achieve, but I don't give all of it to Claude, for example. Yeah. I'll like say, right, work on this thing. When it's done, I'll be like, okay, now we want to do this. However, every now and again, I do just give it the whole spiel of like, you know what, this is my end result. Yeah. I need it to eventually do this, but there's these edge cases, and I just hit enter. And then it goes away for 20 minutes. And it does quite well achieve what I need to do. What I found that Fable actually does, and actually to be honest, Opus 4.8 has been doing this really well for me recently, is the decision making on, it's been making better decisions than me. It's been going against what I'm telling it because it understands my product. So for example, with Scorpio, I was doing a bunch of billing stuff. So like refund this customer, this customer wants to cancel their account. Right now, like, you can cancel your account in Scorpio, but like any other SaaS product, you get people emailing you, oh, you cancel my account. Mm-hmm. I can either reply to them and be like, do it yourself, go into your settings. Or I'm like, you know what, I'll find it's done. Eventually, obviously, that's not scalable. Anyway, so I was going through a list of that. There's like 3 or 4 people to cancel. So I was like screenshotting, like, I was sharing the customer stuff. Bro, why am I telling the story in such a long way?
Yeah, I'm lost.
Yeah, bro, this is so. This is actually,
know what we're talking about anymore.
This is draining. This is actually draining for me.
Okay, so you had a dream.
Okay, the end result is that I was refunding a bunch of customers, and then on like the 3rd or 4th customer, I was like, yeah, refund this customer. Yeah. Opus got back to me and was like, okay, I've cancelled the customer, but I haven't refunded it because it's not fair to refund this customer. Right. They've been using this many credits, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. So I've not refunded. If you think that that's the wrong decision, let me know. But for now, this is what I've done. And I've gone, whoa, you made the right decision there. Yes. I lazily was like, okay, it's $15, just refund it, just like keep a customer happy. But Opus was like, no, absolutely not. And I appreciate that.
It is great like that. By the way, Fable's even better at that.
And now I'm rich.
But it is a breath of fresh air. By the way, long horizon work, Fable 5, I think that's one thing that probably it is quite effective on, and maybe I need to dial into that a bit more. However, even just using it, man, amazing. It's just, it's a weird thing because it's a feeling. And when I called you yesterday and I said to you, let's just chat tomorrow on the pod, I was just going to say that. I was like, man, you can just feel the difference. And I remember that feeling when it came out for those few days. And it's a very difficult thing to explain because it's almost, I don't know if you have to have used Opus and everything to know the difference. Yeah. But it really feels like it's just direct to the point, gets the job done. And you're just seeing like effective things happening. So, and to the point where, I'm also being more ambitious, whereas if it was Opus 4.8 and I was working on it obviously this whole week and I'm re-architecting a lot of the 5-day sprint, like, the way we built it at the beginning was very, just doing sort of just putting together something so basic so that we could just have a product that people could use because there was demand, which is the right way of doing things. And then we iterated it again in January. So we launched it last September, iterated in January, and iterated again now in sort of June, July. So kind of we have the 6-month cycle of just like making it better, which also just lines up with that. The model is growing. So I'm quite happy with that cycle. I think it's happened accidentally, but I'm doing that right now. And it is ambitious, just things like having to rethink, not just a user flow, but when I set it up, I didn't even do a custom email for people's magic links from Superbase, or when they sign up to 5-day sprint, they literally get the Superbase blank sort of like, confirm with your link type thing with nothing in there. And it's great because it works, but things like that I just want to refine. And with Opus, I was almost like picking out, okay, we're going to work on this specific section right now, and I'm dialing in, I'm managing it, I'm getting it focused, we're finishing that, then we move on to something else. With Fable, I'm like, man, okay, let me just start from the flow, from the jump. Someone signs up, they do this, and I've been so much like on it, like the whole of yesterday, to just like figure out so many bigger parts of the puzzle, like broadly, and Nick comes back and tells me, oh, this is what I noticed. You have like, auth gate going on, like authorization kind of gating going on these pages, but I don't have it on these pages. We need to like tie that up and things that I'm not thinking of, but it kind of knows that, all right, Omar's in a state of mind of like cleaning up, organizing, restructuring.
Yes.
And it just like, it meets me on that intent. And to your point with what Opus was doing,
It's perfect.
it brings in things that I'm not even thinking of. And I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't even have thought of that. But that I think is akin to the.
Yeah, I love when it goes, while we're at it, I noticed this other thing while I was digging into the code.
Absolutely.
I'm like, oh, talk to me.
That's that mythos level of, I think, performance that everyone's been speaking about, in detecting vulnerabilities.
Yeah.
Right? And, when you think about that, you just think, oh, it's just finding like, issues in the code that's got to clean up because people are going to hack it. But really, it's like things like this are it noticing vulnerabilities. And so it's great for that, man. Really enjoying that.
Yeah. I had one yesterday where it was like, oh, by the way, we were working on a user bug. And then at the end, it was like, oh, by the way, while I was looking into it, I realized that users actually got 2 trials running. Like, fun fact, but if you want, it's worth looking into.
What I love is that your personification of Fable, just like, just drop your shoulders.
Yeah,
You should be the voice.
He's actually smoking a blunt while he's coding with me. I'm like, what are you doing?
You should literally be the voice of Fable, just like sitting there. It's just train your voice on it.
Like,
yeah. Just put a little Lil Wayne lighter sound in the middle.
Yeah, that's by the way.
Oh my God. It does feel like I'm overly confident, just like, slouching and just chilling and be like, yeah, man.
I think it knows how I like to communicate, so that might be it.
Yeah.
I've told. So I want to talk to you about Hermes because we spoke about it last week, but I told my Hermes agent to speak positively.
Okay.
When I was should I go into it now, the Hermes stuff?
Do it.
All right. So last week we said on the pod, I was like saying, have you tried Hermes agent? We both hadn't tried it. I was saying I don't see the kind of like appeal in it, and then after that pod, I was like, it'll be good to actually look into it and then maybe even try it and then I can talk about it here. So I did try it and I take back some of the stuff that I said last week. So last week I said I think it's completely pointless and I can just do it all in Claude. And actually, the thing that is the most, the thing that's most appealing by it is the cron job stuff, which we were kind of saying like that's its shtick, which is that it can just do these things on a regular basis. And it's quite cool. I haven't yet found like a problem that's like completely solved for me that I had before. But one example of how I used it, which was useful, was on Monday I did a water fast, 24-hour water fast. And so on Sunday night, I voice noted
I'm lost.
Yeah. I don't lost a kilo in weight. Let's move on.
The king of hard turns. It's like, hold on a second. Yeah, God. Okay.
Let me land. Yeah.
God. I'm with you.
So I was like, hey, cook me some food. Yeah. So I voice noted it on the Sunday night. I was like, tomorrow I'm doing a water fast. 24 hours. I want you to...
You're running this in Telegram?
Telegram.
Okay.
I said, I want you to check in on me every couple of hours and just like keep me motivated, just stay positive and let me know what's happening with my body at each point roughly so that it kind of motivates me.
Yeah.
And then I said towards the end, because it finished at 5 p.m. So I was like, towards the end, kind of make them more frequent. And then right before I'm about to open my fast, ask me if I want to carry on, if I'm feeling good enough to carry on, to extend it to a 36-hour fast. And regardless, like, just be positive. And bro, it did a really good job at, like, throughout the day, I was just getting messages. And it was like, hey, you're 16 hours in. Now your body is starting to use its fat for energy. This is great, blah, blah. And then like a few hours. And I enjoyed that. But
That is interesting. That's good. That's a good use case.
Whereas Claude Code, I suppose I'd have to have my laptop open and
you have to give it the inputs.
And I don't think it does crons. I think you'd have to do it like through Vercel.
It does have some sort of system in there for it in the app. I haven't played with it yet, but I am interested in that because there are some things that I want that for. Actually, but I don't want it on like a Telegram chat thing. I would like it inside.
Why are you against Telegram?
I'm not against Telegram.
Oh, okay. But you don't have. Do you have Telegram?
I do have Telegram.
Do you use it ever? I feel like you're not like a fan of Telegram. Maybe from a design perspective.
No. You'd think that, but they actually prefer the design of it to WhatsApp. But I haven't yet built I've built bots before, like where I've plugged them into like Zapier, but I haven't done it with AI agents. But I am keen to, because I do think there are a lot of areas where it can be effective, definitely. And I think I am down for it to have this. For example, like I said last week, like, being able to send updates, about my kids, or like almost a diary entry type chat. I want that type of thing.
It's good for that. Voice noting it and stuff.
But I think we can have so many ideas all the time, man, of things you want to do. And just literally the other day, and the ideas actually get me really excited. And that's a whole 0 to 1 type of mindset that I think we have, right? And I love that part of it. So, during the week I was working, and as I was working, I was like, man, you know what? Since I'm on my network, I'm sure I can like hook up to my internet, my printer, because that's on the network. Maybe we can have some sort of cron job that I can print things automatically. And I started going to this spiral of ideas. And I was like, this weekend, I'm actually going to try experiment. And I wanted to do this thing where the kids every sort of night could go into their room, let's say, like maybe it's a fun activity for them. And I put this sort of like record thing on. It could be something based on just voice notes app and upload it somewhere. But if I could actually make it like a Telegram chat or something they can talk to, really them just offloading their day. Let's say they're sitting private, so they feel like they're doing privately, and speak my whatever. I felt like this today, I had this going on today, I'm really excited about this.
And then they wake up in the morning and the transcript has been printed and stuck on the fridge. This is how my day. How do you have these thoughts?
But actually, similar to that, the idea was that what it does is it prints out like 7 a.m. in the morning. So they just I want to automatically print out almost just like a prep sheet for the day. So like it starts off, it might have like a verse from the Quran at the top, that's works based on the context of what they shared, something they're dealing with. And then maybe some little activity, little chores, little activities or things to be excited for. I haven't thought through all the way through.
No, but I like the idea.
Just the idea of a custom sheet just coming out every morning, like a ticker, and they're just picking it up and it's got their thing on it. And then you could plug in Nano Banana and it can create an image for them, like a coloring artwork. Yeah. If they spoke about friendships, maybe them and like, it has their pictures, it can make custom for them. I don't know, but I just, that's a version of a cron job that I'm like quite excited.
That kind of stuff's cool. It's interesting because I've been thinking for a while, how can I use this new world of AI and automations and code and stuff to add any benefit in my personal life or my family life with the wife and kids or faith. And I haven't found anything. And the reason I haven't found anything is because I'm very conscious that it's very loud right now and everybody's creating products. And a lot of products exist for problems that we actually don't have. I don't just want to have more bots or agents for things that I've actually never had a problem for. So I want to find real problems I have and then find solutions to those. And I just can't think of any in my like family, but I want to. I'm like, show me some problems. Like, I'm sure there's things that I was thinking like maybe with the school, like maybe I've seen a lot of people have like their school updates that go to both the mum and the dad, but it's not really.
What do you mean?
I don't even know. I don't know what I'd need from the school. The school update us on the app, and that's fine. I don't know what problem, but I do want to find something that some ways I can systemize my personal life to get the most out of it. Not because I just want to over systemize, but I'm not going to just fall into doing that for no reason.
Yeah. That's part of what I shared a little bit last week of that system.
That's a good one, yeah. But that's very you. That's what you do anyway.
Yeah, and that would take a while to probably. I'm not actively focusing on it. I'll probably just tweak it as I go. But
what about in marriage, like as a couple, like the closest thing I have to that, which has been amazing for us, and we've had this pretty much since we've been married, is a shared calendar. So if one of the kids got a dentist appointment, she'll throw it into calendar. It comes up in my calendar, which also will block out my time so people can't book a meeting with me. in case I have to go for
that's effective. You have to find these little things. I think I pay for a ChatGPT subscription, which
So
is
do I.
helpful to her. Yeah. So I think that's useful in terms of AI, and I'm glad that she's using AI herself in that way. Like she loves the fact that it talks to her like a friend. You know what I mean, in her own way. So she uses it a lot, by the way. So I love that side of it. But in terms of like actual
efficiencies,
like, I haven't thought of. I always have these crazy ideas of just like in-home stuff that would be cool. And I would like to experiment a bit. I kind of feel like, you know, the guy, the dad who has a garage and on the weekend he's welding things and putting things together, you know, a bit like that setup you got there, but, you know, you just find dad in the garage. But better. Yeah. I kind of like the idea of that as, you know, me on a weekend, just like sort of tinkering around in the house with things like building little AI type things. But the thing I battle with a little bit is the concept of me looking at a screen and being on a laptop. It translates, I think, to the kids and the family as if dad's working, you know, or like I'm working because I'm on my laptop. And I don't want them to think that, even if I'm just experimenting on a weekend or playing with something, I don't want to just have that image of like your dad's always on his laptop. Because I also work at home a lot and they see me on my laptop. So that's why I try to build things with them. You know, so on the weekends, if there is something like what I'm saying right now, I'll be like, okay, how can I get them involved? Or I want to start doing things with like the Raspberry Pi. Like I want to get physical devices and play around with those. Those are things I want to tweak with. But that's what I enjoy doing because I can't do it during the week because I'm like focusing on the things I'm actually like, you know, sort of more work related. But I do think like tinkering with all these different ideas, like in personal life, around the home, there's so many ideas, man. And it constantly becomes something that like, you know, rattles in your brain. You know, these what ifs all the time. So, by the way, just saying all that as cliche as it is, it's such an amazing time to even be having ideas and building things. It's just so incredible.
That's the best part, bro. Like you finally can have an idea, and you don't need to be an engineer to, or have like this hugely expensive team to like make it happen. And I think that's a fun thing, and we should really enjoy this time. I think like there's obviously people who are incredibly skeptical about this time. But I don't think you should be skeptical. I think just enjoy it. Like if you're forcing yourself to create things, I think that's bad because you're now like just trying to leverage a time for maybe like insincere reasons. But if you genuinely are curious, it's a great time to be alive.
But anyone that, by the way, has a skeptical view of it, I would love to just ask that person, have you used it?
Yeah.
Have you actually experienced it? Because as soon as you've experienced it, it's impossible to be skeptical and it's impossible to not love it and see opportunity.
Yes.
Like you really got to be, you've got to be someone on the outside who's just refusing to use it or doesn't understand how to use it.
Or you think it's such a big hurdle.
Or you think it's a hurdle, which is not, you know, and you don't, or you think AI and it sounds technical and you had this technical barrier your whole life, anything like that. But it's just like you have to have an informed perspective, I think, to even be able to have a seat at the table. You know, you can't just say, "Oh, I think it's scary," and it's like you've never tried it. Like if you have an informed perspective because you've tried it and you felt something, you can bring that perspective to the table. Then I think that's interesting.
And it will be wrong. I will happily tell you that you're wrong entirely.
I was going to say something on that. Yeah. I was that person. So as soon as I heard vibe coding, because I didn't even look into it, as soon as I heard the word coding in that sentence, I just walked away because I don't even want to learn this. I thought it was all like, you know, 0 and 1s and all of that stuff. That's what I thought it was, HTML. So I'm not going to like learn. This is not my lane. Like these are developers and stuff like that. So I do think a lot of people have that mindset because I have friends that are like vibe coding. Nah, that's not me. But then when I got introduced to it, it's nothing like that, bro. It's like I talk to your friend, but it builds for you. So yeah, I understand why people have that.
You have to just get over that hurdle.
Yeah, you just have to just try it. I wasn't trying it until someone literally sat me down and showed me it, which was you. So if you didn't show me that, I wouldn't have looked into it.
And that was like a 10-second conversation. That was like, sorry, come just see this. And I was like, whoa.
You have to experience that, yeah. It's an association that it's the bias type of things, isn't it? Yeah. Like, you know, for whatever reason, psychologically, we just default to like certain ideas and concepts in our mind. Even with our own personality, like we label ourselves as certain things. We're like, you know, I can't do this, or I'm not technical. Yeah. Or even when people say I'm not creative, it's like that bugs me the most. There's so many times of I'm not creative though. It's like, yes, you are. Like, you know, are you having a conversation? Can you put words together? Yes, you're creative. Yeah. You know, and you are creative. Yeah, there are different varying levels of creativity, but as a kid, you're
not as creative as me.
Yeah, you might not be me.
That's the gold standard.
Yeah. You can put words together.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But there are different forms of creativity. Like you can apply yourself, you know, and it's logical thinking. And so like, You know, and I am mindful. And even whenever I speak to people, even in 5-day sprint and in the community, and I'm having these conversations, I feel like I have to constantly caveat by saying, I was doing a call yesterday and I literally was saying to them, I almost have to feel like you don't think I'm coming across condescending, but I sort of have to, not just for shock value, but for your brain to almost break apart its habits and realize that it's that simple, like what you're saying.
Yes.
Like you don't have to be an engineer, you just have to be able to think about, if I do this, then this can happen, you know, like a sequence of events.
Yeah.
And to be honest, most things, I was like, you know what?
I'm done.
I should have done yeet every time. Yeet all the way through that. Well, the right part of my brain's gone now. So, but yeah, what have you been doing? Have you tinkered with anything in this last week? Have you played with anything?
No, so Fable 5, I have a session locked in tonight with it.
Come on, sounds a bit romantic. Friday night, I've got a little session locked in.
Night.
No, but
You
obviously,
just told the missus, look, make yourself busy. I'm spending time with Fable 5
I'm going to be
tonight.
fiddling with Fable.
well, obviously it came out yesterday, but I didn't get a chance to use it. So
What's that?
it came out obviously yesterday,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
again,
Bro,
but I
you only
didn't
got till
get a
July the
chance.
7th. So
I
you
know,
feel
Yeah,
I
but
know,
bro,
I know,
yeah. I mean,
saw.
yesterday was
two
a
of
heck
those
day,
days
to
are
be fair.
weekends, which I'm so annoyed about.
Yeah.
But it's all right. I don't think I'm going to burn through this much credits. It'll be interesting to see what it does. Well, it's $10.
How many did you burn yesterday? Do you know? Did you check?
Nah, man.
I had a couple conversations, like literally, I think like in 10 minutes I checked and it was like 3% has already gone. I was like, oh my gosh, I've done nothing.
Yeah, I don't know. But I think you probably do burn a lot more things during the long horizon type that stuff. But I think it could be so effective, like being iterative, man. I don't know, like, I don't know. Probably maybe it's a little bit biased to it, but I really enjoy that approach. And I feel like it gives you just a little bit more of like, because there are a lot of nuances that I don't want to say wouldn't be able to figure out by itself, but I think are human nuances.
But have you not seen, there was a lot of chatter about Fable 5 has been nerfed and all this kind of stuff. And then obviously people are going to try and get headlines. But then there was also some companies who their whole thing is comparing models and like actually looking at data if it has been compromised, not compromised. What's the official term for nerfed? If they like made it worse or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
There's one company.
Degraded? Downgraded? Degraded?
No, it's not one of those. Degraded is like, you're a bad person.
Didn't they degrade them, but they can't degrade the model?
I don't think that's the term.
Is that wrong?
I think that is wrong,
Okay.
yeah. You could degrade the model. You like, hey, you suck. That's you degrading it.
Is
yeah.
it?
Yeah.
I think that's demonizing.
Yeah, I think they're synonymous.
All right,
Anyway,
fine.
so there's this one website, I think it's called like Benchmarks or something like that, and that did an actual comparison between the first Fable 5 that we all got gassed over and then this one. And it did seem like it's substantially been...
I have heard that the model performance has been degraded.
Maybe.
But go on.
But anyway, have you noticed that? Have you noticed any like that wasn't as good?
Opus I did, but not Fable. Opus I noticed it started to feel like it was.
Initially,
it was getting too many things. Like, but
Opus will be good now.
No, bro. Over the last, it was weird because it was almost throughout the last 4 or 5 days leading up to Fable, it just got better again.
It was really good. I really like
Before
Fable.
that, last week, honestly, man, it was being so.
At the
dumb.
beginning, I noticed as well. At the beginning, when they first released new releases with Opus, they were a bit
But
slow.
I feel like when they dropped Fable, I feel like they might have overcorrected for like maybe from some sort of security reason perspective. I don't know, but I just felt like it was doing a lot more like second guessing and being like, you know what I really love about Fable, I don't like about Opus, or should I just say just don't like about Opus, is this thing it does of one thing to be honest about. Or
I hate that. Yeah,
one thing to be honest about, or it does sort of like comparative type talking sometimes, and it's like, man, just or like when it's.
I have to pause here and be honest.
Yeah,
I saw a thing in the bar. Yeah, I saw a bug in the code, and I hadn't seen it first time round. That's all fixed now. Won't happen again. It's like, bro, you're not a human.
Yeah, it does that, and then it does this thing where it goes.
I hate when it tries to be too human.
When it gives you it gives you options, and it goes. Option A is like an okay option. Option B is like a sick option. And then option C is hybrid. And it just makes you pick hybrid. And it's like, we'll go hybrid. And it's like, stop just doing hybrid.
Oh, I've not experienced that.
Like
I've not experienced
really.
that.
And you've got to say to it, look, let's make the best decision for the product. But yeah, and the funny thing, by the way, is when someone's talking to it and I'll say like, I'm speaking my way of talking, and I'll just be like, explain something. I'll be like, feel me? Yeah, and a question mark. And it always goes, I feel ya.
Yeah. I've had experiences like that.
It'll be like feeling you. And I'm like, stop feeling me.
Just going back to the topic of like if somebody hasn't tried, vibe coding, whatever.
Yeah.
I have a really good suggestion. There's also a way of using it that's not building anything, but you are finally able to understand things a lot better. Which is not the same as when you were talking to ChatGPT or Claude previously, because now it can help you understand things and do things. Here's what I mean. I have always been like I've always had a question mark over paid ads. I've never really known how to perfectly execute paid ads where you get to the point where I've understood now I can put any money in and I'll get a certain level of money out. Yeah. I've had to run paid ad campaigns, but I've had like maybe people executing them for me and stuff like that. And what I did is I sat down with Claude and I said, right, these are the questions I have about paid ads and like about how maybe campaigns are structured, how ad sets are structured. And I would ask it the dumbest questions that I would feel really uncomfortable asking a human, because it's like some of them feel really basic, or I just feel like a human won't even understand the nuance of why my brain is asking that, because it sounds like that's such a weird question to ask. But I would ask them to Claude Code and it helped me understand it all. And then I've now basically successfully run so many paid ads in the last kind of 2 months because I've been able to sit with it and not only have it explain things to me, but then also like do things for me at the same time, which is the difference between just speaking to a chatbot. I'll give you another better example. At the end of every month, I send my Shopify orders like report to one like investor who did like a shared thing with us. So what we would do is I would like analyze the orders, look at the refunds and stuff like that, put it all together all manually, right? But then what I did yesterday is I spoke to Claude and I said, look, this is what I'm doing every single month. How can we do this better where you basically do the whole thing almost for me? And now what it does is it helped me create an API or app inside my Shopify account. It connected it to Claude. And so now every month, Claude runs a cron with Faisal and it calculates all of my orders and it writes the email for me and it tells me how much money I need to transfer to the investor. And it does all of that for me perfectly. That's an example of me not building a new product, not building a landing page. But it's still building. It's building something that I had a real issue in my life. 100%. So if you're someone who doesn't know what they need to build or how to like introduce themselves into something like Claude Code or Codex, look at something that you're doing that's like that. There's probably, first of all, loads of questions you can ask it to help understand it better. And then secondly, it's a piece of work it can do that can make that job easier for you. Yeah. Is that clear?
Yeah, no, it's very clear. It's very good. It's a great example. Often we are just talking about technical things, but everyday things like that, man, there's so many things and even in your workplace, by the way, like just for your own efficiency, like in the day, so many things like that. I'm sure people have to produce reports all the time, presentations, or even just doing research, just asking Claude to help you with that. Yeah, 100%.
The one thing I'm doing today is I'm going to sit down and I'm going to give it's already got my last 3 months bank statements. I'm just going to say to it, run me through all of my monthlies, because I realized yesterday when we were doing our expenses, spending way too much money on software products, bro. And I part of me knows it, but it just wasn't it's never been a big enough thing that I'm like, I have to put focus on. But now I'm like, I just do need to sit there and do it one time. So for example, Descript. I use Descript every single day for our social media content, for our podcasts. I just run everything through there and I get the transcription. Yeah. I know that it's stupid that I'm paying that. I don't know, it's like $30 a month, $50 a month. Why am I paying that? Because I know that I can just build my own tool really quickly and it's basically free, just put Whisper behind it. Yeah. But I've just never got round to it. But then when I look at our bank statements, I'm going, I am spending $200-$300 every quarter for absolutely no reason, just because I haven't got round to cancelling it and spending 10 minutes creating the tool myself. So that's an example of something I'm going to do today. I'm going to create that and I'm going to cancel my Descript account. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to get Claude Code to just like analyze all of my monthlies and say which one of these are really easy to just build ourselves so we can just cancel. Another one is Buffer, but we spend $150 a month on Buffer. Still, I'm paying $150 a month. Yet we have that exact same feature in SchoolPod, which is a product that I own, bro. We have that. We're giving that same feature to other users, but I'm still paying $150 a month. For no reason, I just haven't got around to cancelling it. So I'm going to cancel
That's the example of Beehive. My subscriber base was growing more and more. And
that's another one I need to do.
Now I started off paying $50 a month. Then I was paying I think $180 a month. Now they want to charge me up to $400. I was like, hold on a second, let's just pause here. And then when I started building it internally, and it was a time in which I had to build for myself, and I was also building a similar technology for a client. And then so I just like went into this whole like zone of like, let me really nail this email thing. Bro, the email, I haven't even shown you it, but the email system that I've built is so insane, and it's also self-learns. So obviously I think I explained last week, like how the newsletters come in and it digests all this information and the brain gets better, which is amazing, by the way. Like that in itself is just crazy. It's just time to all these newsletters and it just learns the sentiment from all these newsletters. It ranks like its own algorithm of confidence of the patterns it notices across multiple, if the same pattern it notices or technique it notices in more than 3 newsletters with a certain confidence score, it bakes it into my system. And so when my emails get written, it knows that, okay, in the opening hook, these are common trends that work really well, as an example.
So are you sending these emails now outside of Beehive? Because that's another one. I have a $150 subscription to Beehive, another $50 one, a $30 one. I have all these newsletters. And by the way, I'm the biggest proponent of Beehive. I love it.
Yeah.
I think Tyler has absolutely killed it. The early team smashed it. Yeah. I think anybody who's doing newsletters should use Beehive. But I agree that there comes to a point where if you don't need every single one of those features, it's great for a certain demographic, but like, bro, I don't want to be spending $300. I'm just not using it enough. I don't even send newsletters. So I'm just paying it just
and like for example, like first of all, it was okay. One of the things that I love about Beehive and we had this conversation when you started using loops as well, right? Which was, it's good, but it's more of like a transactional email type of thing. There's not so much customization. A resend is obviously just a API layer. There's like almost no composition at all. And then Beehive, the reason we love it is because it has this sort of like Notion like editor, the blocks that you could just add in. And there's this open source framework called TipTap, and it's just like, you just hit Claude, install TipTap for me, for example.
What's TipTap?
TipTap is literally Notion style, press / for command and it brings up blocks.
I always build that custom. I didn't know that. Why?
Man, you
never told me that exists.
Dude, TipTap is sick. So I use it's open source, so they're always like.
Is TipTap what Beehive use?
Maybe, I don't know, but I have that, and it's incredible. You can build your own custom blocks. It's insane, like to the point now. My email. So for example, in my emails, I have different CTAs. So I've designed like 2 different versions of CTAs, and I just press / CTA, add it to my email, and I can just choose which block I want and just switches it out and the design was ready in there. So it's like a very, very nice template way of doing things, but highly customized however you want. Beautiful. And I've really like dialed it into, so there was a system that I've created now is almost like it's TipTap, but on like steroids.
Okay, but I have a question on your system, sorry.
Yeah.
The problem for me with emails is always deliverability.
So I was coming on to that.
Right. How did you solve for it?
Question. Yeah, bro.
Okay, I want to know. I'm all in on it.
So here's what's insane. Literally 48 hours ago. Okay. Yeah, set up the system. Turns out we need to send out maybe like, 50,000 emails. Okay. Sending out 50,000 emails. We just said, okay, let's just do a push. We know there's going to be issues, Here's what we've got. We've got a system, we've got resend underneath it. In resend, we've got, or in our database, we've got 50,000 emails, let's say, and we need to send out a blast now. We know the blast can be sent out to 50,000 people. Yes. Issue you have is open link tracking, click link tracking, deliverability, all this type of stuff.
Yeah.
So we sent the email, the data immediately came back, and it was like within seconds, 75% open rate. Like, thousands of people like opening it, thousands of people clicking on links, like almost like to a point where it's like, this is insane numbers.
How?
And guess what? It was wrong. And the reason it was wrong is because, which was brilliant. And this is what led me to work with Claude and figure it out. And I said to her, look, these numbers don't look right. Yeah, something seems off here. How's, for example, like one person, we're tracking links and clicks anyway via, clicks and opens via Resend's API anyway. We're like, how's one person opened the email, I don't know, 6 times already, but clicked on links 48 times? What's going on here? And then I said, okay, well, I want you to use Perplexity now to go and understand how all the best email softwares, HubSpot, Beehive, what do they do? Like, what is going on? Like, do they have some sort of thing they're figuring out, like system? Or like, if Resend is supposed to be gold standard, surely anyone could build on top of Resend. If they can, then what is the middle bit? And basically it said that what all these other softwares do is the same thing that we have. We are basically taking in raw Resend webhook data, which is, how many links, clicks, everything. But Resend actually gives you loads of data, such as, IP address and things like user agents and all these things that it gives you, which is real data. And what these systems like Beehive do is they create a filter. And they create a filter by looking at patterns. And And the patterns rule out something called bots. Because what a lot of emails have, like Gmail emails, a lot of corporate emails, they have these automatic bot systems that surface the emails, click on all the links automatically, and they register all as clicks inside a resend. And they register as opens inside a resend, even though a human hasn't done it. And so what's happening is we're getting all that data because resends correctly tracking that, but there's a bot doing that inside the person's inbox on their side. And so what all these systems do is they have like rules in place. A small rule might be like, if a link is clicked more than 3 times within 5 seconds, don't count those 3, because that's clearly a bot. No human does that. So it's looking for human behavior patterns. It filters those out. And so we researched a lot like into what these other email systems are doing. We found like a pattern that they all use. And then we implement that same type of algorithm. It's like a filter. And now we actually have verified human opens and human clicks and deliverability as well.
No, but what about actual deliverability? Like, how do you not end up in people's spam?
But I think what Reset did recently, which really helped, is they forced you to use the subdomain emails.
Yeah, but I don't know about this because this is currently my biggest problem.
I had some issues with one of the businesses, and then since they brought in this subdomain thing, I haven't had any issues personally. Like nothing on spam.
So my biggest issue with email is deliverability, getting in people's inboxes. If you don't warm up your domain, you very quickly end up in spam, especially if you go in with a new domain, even if it's a subdomain, and you're sending 50,000 emails straight. Bro, that is getting picked up as spam. So that's why currently I'm still kind of sending a lot of emails either manually or through something like Loops or Beehive, because it already they're better at delivering. So there's like DMARC and stuff like that you can add, but that's only so much. I found that doesn't even like work very well.
You can extend it. So do you use DMARC like just what they give you in resend? You just copy and paste that in?
Yes.
Okay. So with DMARC, what you can do is go into like Claude, for example, say this is the DMARC code game. It gives you a basic one. There's loads of extra things that you can append to it.
Fine.
That improves deliverability as well.
So I said it's similar to what you did. I was going down this rabbit hole with Claude, and I said, what is it that companies like Beehive, MailChimp, etc. do for deliverability specifically? And Claude basically said, it came up with something that I can't remember now what it was, but at the time it made me think that, okay, that's something that I can't achieve, which I know that's going to really pain your ears. But it was something like, they have something in place. I'd have to look into it again, but it made me come to the conclusion that it is worth using these softwares purely for deliverability. So I did something like last quarter, end of March, I sent an investor report out, and it ended up, and it was the first time I did it through Resend. I did it as an automation, and I did it as a subdomain thing, and all of them went in spam. I was like, that's annoying, because now I have to like speak to each individual investor and be like, hey, check your spam, blah, blah, blah. Whereas I know if I manually send an email from my personal email, it will always go in inbox. So that's put me off sending emails. But that's something I need to solve for, because I do want to be able to, even my Hermes agent, bro, I want to be able to message it, but I'll just email this guy, email this. But I'm not confident because I feel like my emails are spam.
No, but it doesn't have to go through Resend, because emails it should be doing through Gmail. You have a Gmail account, right?
Yeah, but all of this, like, I keep hearing all of this stuff like, don't give access to your actual email address and stuff like that. Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So emails that are like from me should just directly connect to my Gmail.
Because if you go to Google Cloud Console and you set up a new project, let's say create a new project called Faisal email, and then you enable Gmail API, you can get Claude to walk you through it in 2 seconds. All it needs is like these 2 tokens, like the keys for Google. You give that to Claude. It just creates this URL, basically does whatever it does. It creates like a script or whatever. You click the URL and you log in via Google now or your email. That's it.
Thanks for showing me how to log in.
Log in via Google. Log in via Google. And it just has you access now, and that's how it does that newsletter thing where it ingests and read the emails from that inbox I've set up. I set up an inbox that goes through Google.
Yeah, okay, that does fix one thing, because the problem that I want to solve for email actually is mostly personal. It's mostly I want it to send my personal emails more, so that fixes that.
So if you try to create a newsletter system, then I can see why.
I was going to say, but then the newsletter thing, then how do you?
I'm finding it. I mean, look. First of all, I am saying,
I want all the answers now.
Yeah, but based on what I've built for our clients and what we use, we have had issues before, and a lot of these things I'm explaining, like the demarc things, a lot of the changes that Resend made have made a difference. I've noticed a difference. But this new system I'm about to turn on, which is going to be like, a big overhaul, that date I'll probably have in the next like week or two. And that'll be interesting. But
today I'm having
it has to work, by the way.
Yes.
It has to work because everything...
The fact that it can exist means that you can do it. I know your mindset.
Yeah, but also because I built the system so that it actually makes my life easier. Bro, like all the content in 5 Day Sprint now is made so that I can easily be giving people email notifications and contacting them and creating great content is designed to be great at top of funnel.
Yeah.
And it needs to be, because otherwise I can't. I've tried operating Beehive for 2 years where I have to sit there on a Friday and write an email and put it together, and it's so long, man.
No, today I'm focused. Today my day is on all of these efficiencies.
Yeah.
I've dedicated my day to, like, especially with Fable, just clearing through whether it's like building out this email system or like clearing these monthlies. There's a bunch of things that are like a bit of a mess, and so I'm going to look at it. I'm going to do the Gmail thing. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. No, it's worth figuring those out. What else were we doing this week? I'm also, by the way, on that note of rebuilding things, even school, but rebuilding school, but better inside our own platform with our own community.
No, of course. Yeah. Those things, those kind of things, like, this is obvious win, bro. Like, it's possible. Yeah.
But again, the curiosity though, is because you have to also go into it knowing that there's a level of naivety to just think that people are just going to use my website. However, there's a reason people might use school, and so I'm also at the same time,
stuff, right?
I'm also at the same time figuring out and working with the community to say, is it because I have a mobile app that you love it?
Yes.
What is it? Because it can't be the experience. The experience isn't what's driving you.
No.
So what is it? And if I can nail that as well, then I can bake those things in. So but overall, like, if you've heard of Chamath, right? Chamath Palihapitiya.
Yeah.
He's got a company called 1890. And they have this product called a software factory, right? They've just raised, I think, $135 million. And when you hear about the concept, it's amazing conceptually, but you and I would think about that, knowing what we know about how to build, and be like, oh my God, like the fact that that's how they're thinking, but like also startup stuff we do every day anyway, and they're raising that much money working with the companies they're working with, shows, first of all, how much potential and opportunity there's in the space, but also the level of expertise that are just sitting right here that we can utilize, and we're kind of doing that anyway. And so what they mean by software factory is effectively everything that you're doing in terms of building internal tools. The pattern that they notice the most is you had a traditional way of doing things, which still exists today, and you've seen it in companies you've worked with as well, where they go and buy software. So they'll go and buy enterprise level Salesforce, Slack, Microsoft Teams, whatever, right? So someone will be out there buying the software. Then there's the buyers of the software. Then you've got a huge enterprise of, let's say, 10,000, 50,000 people. Then there has to be implementation.
Yeah, that's what Idris's job is.
Implementation?
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
So he deploys, let's say, but it's long, bro.
Yeah.
Bro, do you know how long it is? He was telling us that, like, let's say, for example, by the way, his company, I won't say which it is, but it's one of the biggest companies in the world.
Yeah.
You know it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But he was like, oh yeah, we use like Windows XP or something. I can't remember, Vista. I was like, what?
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, because he goes, we can't use the latest software of anything because it has to go through such rigorous testing, which takes so many years for it to be deployed to like 20,000 machines, that the most recent, safest software we know is, OS this. And it's like a 3-year-old operating system. Like, I didn't know that.
No, it's crazy.
Or he's like, I was like, oh, what are you doing this week at work? He's like, oh, I'm deploying everyone. I'm upgrading Google Chrome for everyone. I'm like, huh? But so it's mad, bro. That level. I never want to be at that level.
No,
bro.
but it's like almost change management, isn't it? And then you've got to deploy that.
Yeah.
And it's a real, by the way, like you're saying, a pain point. And you saying it the way you're saying it is obviously it's an illogical, silly process. Like, doesn't mean that it's not. It's probably the most practical way of doing things, that someone has to do that. So logically, it does make sense, but it's illogical in the sense that it shouldn't be that way.
Yeah, why can't we just do X?
It shouldn't be that way. It's like it's slowing the organization down. If the organization's job is to be at the frontier and to produce the best products and services and build efficiently, you can't be working on old software. Anyway, that aside, that's like how it works today. And 1890 come along, they build a software factory. The whole idea is that everyone's gonna be building internal software now.
Of course.
Right? And so instead of going, and kind of what I'm speaking about right here as well, building our own community or building our own newsletter system. And traditional thinking would make you think, well, but all these other companies are focusing on it. They're working, they're specializing. So why not use their software? And there are cases where it makes sense. But generally speaking, people will be building their own internal software, and they're basically creating an infrastructure to allow companies to do that. So an enterprise can come along and say, hey, we want to build our own internal software. They will basically take all the context of that, their SOPs and everything they do. They feed it down into basically sort of like engineering tasks. They call them work orders. They then get spun off, and the work is executed, and the engineering work happens, and then sort of like humans in the loop can sort of like approve the work orders, the specs, the PRDs or whatever, and the work can just get done.
That makes a lot of sense.
So it makes it a lot easier. But the fact that, again, it sounds so obvious to say, but, many companies, look, we're seeing it even with some of the things that I'm working on now on just like, with some of the biggest organizations in the world, they just don't know how to figure this type of stuff out. And coming in, like people, independent experts coming, people that have this type of knowledge and information can come in and help them do that. But clearly there's a huge opportunity even larger than that. So, there's a big trend and shift happening here, man. I think over the next sort of, 10, 15 years, it will just be incredible to see how the organizations operate by leveraging vibe coding.
Greg put out a podcast saying that the new AI agents are the new SaaS, but I think I disagree with that. I think the new SaaS is going to be almost like creating connectors. So what is definitely going to be replaceable, if we're honest, are going to be like software platforms. Because you said everybody's going to be building their own internal softwares or personal softwares, even if they're individual. But what is going to be more difficult to replace are those connectors. And what I mean by that is things like resend. Like I'm creating my own internal software, but I need resend as a tool to send the emails. I think that what's going to happen is people are going to specialize in creating their own, and I'm calling it a connector, obviously it's not an official term, but let's look at something like Scorpa. Scorpa helps you create, Instagram carousels. Instead of it being I go to scorpa.ai, log in and create my carousels on there. It's like, no, someone is building their own software that helps them make their social posting most efficient, but they're going to connect to the Scorpa API so that all of Scorpa's learnings and stuff help them make the best carousels when they say, oh, by the way, now make me carousels. So, okay, I'm pulling in Scorpa for that.
It's the brain. And that's the stickiness. And if you think about, look, even the social media era, why it's so hard to move from Instagram to another platform is because all your followers are inside Instagram.
Yes.
Right? They create that stickiness in the product. That version of stickiness in this world is that learning.
Yes.
Right? It is all of that context, where you feel attached to it because it already knows me. And if you can have your database owns that. Your database of Scorpa owns the learnings of their content styles. Laid on top of it, by the way, like your visual styles that you've baked in already.
Yeah.
Different types of carousel styles. That is all IP. That, you take, so I would even argue like where you have traditional tech companies where people would, blanket say, okay, well, your value of a company is like, 10 times, ARR, for example. I think it's going to be like 20, 30, maybe even 50 times ARR, like because of the actual value of the information sitting and how sticky a product becomes. Yeah, Anyone acquiring a business can see there's much more value over time from a specific company by acquiring a certain company because of the level of users and the reason the users will be using it, and also what you can then do as like a second order effect with that information. You now have so much learning from the way people are interacting with the product, what they're doing with it. You can then retrain your own systems with it. So you're just like every single time someone uses Scorpa, like it should just be getting better and better and better. And I'm wondering, do you actually have any sort of reinforced learning loops inside it to make the system better based on actual usage? Like, is it automatically like learning itself? There might not even be a need for it. I'm just wondering if that's something that you're thinking.
I mean, I suppose we have some elements. I'm trying to think like where we have it on a personal level where it's learning from your socials.
Yeah. No, but even feedback. Like you're saying users give feedback, for example, that feedback goes in and...
That's quite manual right now because I'm like, when users give feedback, I'm kind of like looking at that going, okay. Fine. And that's helping me build out the product. I'm building new features daily based on feedback. Okay, cool. Somebody yesterday was like, oh, when I go into my carousel history, I'll click on one and then it's like, I created a dark mode carousel where like the background is dark, text is white, but they want it to be white on black. And so then I was like, okay, cool, like refresh it now, there'll be a toggle there. So it's like now everyone has a toggle. Or they want to like use their most recent username and so there's a refresh button. So there's things like that, but no, we're not doing any loops like that. It would be interesting to do that, and I can have a think about how that works. Right now, the closest thing we have to that is that it's constant. The brand brain is constantly learning because it's when you connect your socials to it, it's learning from your socials, like from your captions. It's transcribing your reels. It's looking at your LinkedIn posts, and so it's improving your individual score per account. So you as owner, if you're logged in, it's getting cleverer on you because it's connected to your socials.
Yeah,
but the actual product is not necessarily benefiting, I suppose, from each individual use, other than the manual way of it going, of someone going, oh, well, I'd prefer to be able to. The other day, somebody goes, oh, well, it would be nice if I can post these directly to X as a thread. So I looked into it. I was like, okay, like, can we do that? And then I managed to make it happen. So
they just released the API, didn't they? Is that new? Because
it wasn't that they released API. It's just that X is a little bit more frigid with like releasing. You don't just connect the API. You have to have a developer account.
Yeah.
Whereas with like Instagram and Facebook and stuff, you can pretty much just like log in with Instagram. But that doesn't work with X. With X, you have to have a developer account and just set up a few different APIs. There's a few extra steps and then it's done. So I don't know what they released that was different or if I just timed it right. But we did recently.
But this concept of building a brain is amazing, man. It's I've done that now with a few things as well. And it's so good, man, to just have a literally like an extra pipeline that it goes through to know how to create the output.
Yes.
So you have
well, that's what makes meta ads so incredible, bro. Because the way meta ads train themselves, like if you're still
meta ads
in general meta
ads.
General
meta ads. Okay.
If you're still creating lookalike audiences on Meta, you're actually, I think, really capping the growth of your ads, because when you just their algorithm is so good now, bro. How Meta trains itself on your ads is, let's say your end result is subscriptions to 5-day sprint. Yeah, if you add in your current 5-day sprint audience and you say get lookalike like this, you're really like, imagine Meta is the car and your input of like how you want it to find audience is like you're steering it. Well, you're putting in your lookalike audience, you're like hard steering it. And so it's like forcing it, but it's like, look, I'm really good at driving right now. Yeah. So what you want is you want to just do it a little bit. You want to say, hey, like these are the kind of people, and so you're steering it a bit, but then you're letting it drive.
Still give it an audience.
I still give it a very light interest-based audience, not
like actual emails or what?
No emails. Okay, interest-based.
Interest-based. So how you understand that interest? Like it's just you knowing the behavior type of thing, or
so I test. The way I do it is I test different audiences with different bases, with different interests. But you have to have a starting point. So if it was someone like 5-day sprint, I might search the interest of like small business owners or people who are interested in AI or whatever. And I'll try 3 different ones.
Broad, right?
Super broad. Yeah. I actually, when I initially test interests, I test a broad interest. So I test broad where I give no interest. I just base it on what Facebook thinks. The second one is interest, and the other one is like really specific interest. And what I found is that every time just a little bit of steering is what it needs. Not completely broad and not completely like strict. Anyway, the great thing about it is that what it does is it trains itself on, let's say it's on 5-day sprint and someone signs up to 5-day sprint through the ad, it then trains itself on that user. It goes, hold on, so what's that? And then when it's got like 100 of those, it starts going, okay, 100 of these people have signed up to 5-day sprint. Let me understand and steer myself according to these 100 people. That's basically building its own brain.
And the conversion it's tracking, like you're setting what that metric is, or you're following it down to payment being made.
Down to payment being made.
Okay, because what's a webhook that it's sending back?
No, it's all set up on the Facebook pixel.
Oh, yes, that's it. All right, cool. So on the Facebook pixel, it knows that this is what they did at this event.
Yeah, but it's up to you. Like initially, if you're starting out fresh, you don't want to set it up to payment. You want to set it up to like people viewing the landing page because the payment is such a big metric. It's like it can take some time to get to that. But
you're saying you can't get to a point where you're literally just like sending people straight to payment page.
That's literally what I'm doing now, bro. And it brings the cost right down because now it's like training on other people. So it goes, okay, this type of person actually makes a payment. Let me find other people like this. And it's really good at that. And then it brings the cost down, bro. My thing started out as paying like maybe $40, $50 per person who pays for a product. It becomes right down to like $12 because it trains
to the intent.
Yes, and it gets more data to train.
Okay, so it's getting more data to train, and therefore it's the actual type of audience it's targeting to is that more refined and more specific, and they're more likely to convert.
That's correct.
Which means they do.
Yep.
And then also when they do,
and it's costing less because they find Facebook's getting better at targeting those individuals.
Correct. And then when they land on your product, they're not having to like move around because they know they're likely to pay. You can just go straight to the payment page.
Oh, you're asking, do I send them straight to the payment page? No.
You still test the way they land is always the same.
Yeah, that'd be a good thing to test though.
Okay, interesting.
Like Hermes sends them straight to the Stripe page.
Yeah, I've done that on my stories. I do that when I post like a product thing on my stories. Or ManyChat, straight Stripe, and it works.
Yeah, but that's because you're sending info product. Like if it was a SaaS,
yeah,
you
but I
wouldn't
don't
have to
think.
do that.
And also, by the way, there's also a warmness there of people knowing who you are and they trust to go into a payment page. Whereas I think if I was to do ads, I would have them, be a bit more informed.
What I'd be interested. So another thing with ads is that now that I've feel like I've got ads going, we always used to try to do ads with the game. We have a physical product at Freshly Grounded called the game's box of conversation cards, and I used to try run ads and boosts and stuff, and it would just be like we're just throwing money away because we would never see results. But now that I've become quite good at ads, yesterday I was like, let me retry this, just £100 a day. And bro, yesterday from that ad we had and it's still in learning phase. We had 6 sales just straight from the ad, so that's great. So and the first sale cost me it cost me £35. It was averaging. I'm in a huge loss because the game cost £25, and only in 48 hours, bro, it started learning, and already now the cost has come down to about £12. So it gets better and better. So but what I was doing previously, because I didn't understand how the learning phase works or how ads work, I'd see £35, I'd turn it off.
So how much?
I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm losing £10.
Question that people would love to hear, and I love the answer to as well, is what? So you're starting off, let's say, a new fresh thing. What is the budget you're putting behind, for test in the first 48 hours?
I would put behind either. So let's talk in dollars. I'd put either $50 per ad set per day or $100 per ad set per day. Okay, 100 for me feels like the sweet spot. Yeah. You want to set enough. Here's why I like 100. And by the way, it all depends on how much you're charging. If it's an app, it's going to cost pennies to get a download, so you can use $50. But if it's a product that costs $25, at least if you do $100, then you can see how much. If I get 2 users, it's cost me $50. Whereas if you do $50, it's not enough. It needs a bit of breathing room. But so I'd say $100 is a sweet spot, but it depends on how much you're charging.
That's
with the
interesting.
thing.
A per ad set, and you'll be running multiple.
By the way, if you're charging $10,000 for your product, you probably need to put way bigger budget. But then maybe you're not trying to get a sale from that learning. You're just trying to get an audience. Quickly before we go, I was going to say that I would love for you to at some point sit with me and let me actually walk you through Scorpa properly. Sit with me, got your focus, walk you through how it works, what it's doing. And I'd love your opinion on 2 separate things. First thing I'd like your opinion on is functionality, what you think we could add, what things could function better, because I value that from you. The second thing that I value even more from you is design. How do you think that the experience and the design could be better? I'm very aware that the design and the experience is a bit rubbish, or can be a lot better. I don't think it's as bad as it's not that bad, but it can be better. So I'd just like your opinion on those 2 things.
Sure. Yeah, of course, man.
But I think it requires a bit of focus and attention.
I do think it's impressive in itself that you don't even have to worry about that and it's working, because it's counterintuitive to the way I tend to think. I tend to prioritize visuals so much, but I have learned a lot along the way that if I can quickly get to good visuals, and it doesn't cost me much time, I'll do it for the sake of it. But in a lot of, I don't want to compromise time. It should. But
I would actually with you, because now how Claude Code works, I would like you to go, bro. You know what? You should make all these buttons like this, and I'll just do it while you're sitting with me.
Do you ever build things into components, reusable components, or anything like that?
No, but I need to. I'll tell you why. Because now it's inconsistent.
Yeah. Okay. Fine.
There's a lot of inconsistency, and it annoys me. It's this thing is a feature only for Max users, but your Pro account, so you can't see it. So it's got a Max pill on it. I'm like, why are some of the Max pills looking different? All Max pills should look like the same. So I kind of want to sit with you and fix that stuff
That'd
up.
be fun. Yeah, we should do that for sure.
But I know it's very hard to get your dedicated time.
Yeah, we will. What you want to do on camera, or are you saying?
No. Just off camera, one day maybe if you're here, or if I'll come yours. But it kind of requires no distractions.
We'll basically just do a solid day or something. We'll do it.
Yeah,
100%.
Maybe one day you come here, bro. This is a nice spot to work because you got the masjid there. You got just ordering every munch spot is available.
Yeah. We will. I love that type of stuff.
Over the summer when I drop the kids and then I come back maybe.
Yeah. I'm down with that.
All right. I know you have to go to the gym.
Gotta go, but amazing, man. I'm glad we did it again.
Yeah, guys, drop us. Thanks for all the comments from last week's episode. Drop us some more comments. Let us know if you want. Maybe we could do something dedicated. It would be good to maybe do an entire episode on email and what we think about email or whatever.
Hey, we should do a whole episode on figuring out a name for this thing.
Yeah, we should have a name.
What's going on?
How did you find it, Solo?
Yeah, good. I learned a lot.
Cool. All right, guys. See you next week.
Take it.